Tim Pugh, the bouncing single in the first. Scoring Dave Hansen, 3-0 Dodgers. That's all Estacio would need. 3 hits, 2 strikeouts, a complete game. His 4th shutout of the year in just 10 big league starts for the rookie. And the Dodgers beat Cincinnati 5-0. And the most important thing here, the Reds lose. Ron Gant facing Bud Black. He tells Bud Black, you cannot pitch me right there, because Gant unloads. See ya. The left center field, 17th of the year. Braves up 1-0. That's all they would need. Bottom of the 4th, Steve Reed in. It's 3-0, and that's Damon Berryhill filling in for Greg Olson. Chris James on his horse, diving, can't hang on. Brian Hunter. Ron Gant score. It's 5-0 to the bottom of the 9th. 2 outs. Charlie Leibrandt on against the rookie John Patterson. Fly ball to Otis Nixon in center field. And the Atlanta Braves win the National League West for the 2nd consecutive year. At the Chop Shop, Greg Olson, who's out with the injury, helped around the bases by his teammates. Marvin Freeman on the DL last year celebrates this year, along with TP, the guy who may be MVP. Atlanta wins 6-0. Charlie Leibrandt in this game, his 2nd consecutive shutout. So worst to first was no fluke. The Braves go back-to-back in the NL West. First time that's happened since the Dodgers of 77-78. Bobby Cox compares this title to last year's.
Anytime you win a divisional title, it's the same. This one means a lot, too. It's 2 in a row for us, so it means an awful lot. A lot of fun right now.
This is a start. It feels awful good right now. We're looking for Pittsburgh and going and doing a lot of better things.
It's tougher to repeat. You know, everybody's out to get you that following year after you win. So, you know, it wasn't hard. I mean, easy for us this year. I mean, we had to battle. We came back, you know, like the second half of the season, just like we did last year. We started off a little bit earlier this year, but I'm just kind of glad the pressure's gone a little bit earlier this year.
Gant, the big hit in the clincher. The digits in the Dixie repeat. Statistically, this is the best starting staff in the game. The season turning point, May 27. The Braves were 20-27. Since then, get this, they are 74-35. And they're also baseball's king of the road. 47 road wins, also 47 wins at home. At home is where the NLCS starts. The Bucks and Braves, Act 2, starting Tuesday in Atlanta.
Sperry gets Moises Alou swinging. In the 7th inning, Alou back up there, and this time makes him pay. His 9th home run of the year. It's up, out, and gone, and ties the game at 1. Tewksbury does lower his ERA in the game, 2.16, as Gilkey tosses the home run back. Tied in the 10th, Rod Brewer, a liner. John Vanderwall didn't play like he wanted to. Tracy Woodson, the winning run. Brewer had 2 hits, if you can call that a hit. Cardinals take it. Tewksbury gave up just 5 hits and 1 run over 7 innings. He still hasn't lost since August 8th. Mike Perez working 1/3 of an inning to get it. That's Saberhagen in trouble. 2 on in the 2nd. Ruben Amara lines a shot. Looks like it's going to clear the bases, but Ryan Thompson on the run hauls it in. Dalton tags and does score. It's 1-0 Phils. Then Saberhagen flips to Murray. They have Castillo in a rundown. Jordan comes home, and he's safely in there, 2-0 Phils. In the 9th, Mets up 3-2, but Young pitching. The bunt from Joe Millette. The throw gets away. Castillo scores. Juan Bell is going to come home. The Phils take the lead, 4-3, and add to it to win 5-3. The battle for last place. Anthony Young losing his
California, 4 shy of 3,000. His first at-bat against Julio Valera, the right-hander, on a fastball, and Brett goes the other way. Rob Ducey coming on, and he doesn't get a glove on it. It is a hit, a double, and hit 2-9-9-7. Next at-bat in the top of the 3rd, again facing Valera. Served up another fat pitch, and he bounces it through the hole because there was a runner on first. 2-9-9-8, 2 away. Next at-bat, 5th inning, also off of Valera. A clean single to center, and oh boy, 3 for 3. Brett at 2-9-9-9. What had happened on Wednesday night? Tim Fortunio comes into pitch in the 7th inning, and Brett steps up to the plate. The first pitch he sees from Fortunio. And baseball history, a bouncer right past Ken Oberkfell. It got past his glove and move over, spot in Cooperstown, move over and make a spot in the record book for George Brett. Hit number 3,000 in a place where he played high school baseball, the same place where Rod Carew got 3,000 hits. A 5-minute standing ovation follows. As you watch the play one more time, clearly a hit, a wicked smash that Oberkfell could not get his glove on, and a standing 5-minute salute 3 weeks to the day after Robin Yount got career hit 3,000. George did. Wouldn't you know he got picked off first in the same at-bat? Oh, well, no one will remember that. They will not remember the Rick Reed shutout, a footnote in history. On the night, George Brett becomes the 18th man to reach 3,000 hits with his 54th four-hit game. Now, as for the post-game comments of George Brett, he sat down and talked with his brother Ken Brett, reliving a great game, and he knew that reaching 3,000 wasn't even on his mind Wednesday night.
I was hoping, Kemmer, honest to God truth, before the game started, to get one hit and not go backwards in the progress that I had made. And I was able to stay with a nice fluid swing and not overswing, and ended up getting 4 hits, and all that stuff that you're worrying about all went to an end tonight. You know, you got 3,000 hits out of the way, and from here on out, the rest of the year is going to be gravy. So, I mean, it's a relief off my back, and I am the happiest man in the world right now. It was amazing how relaxed I was. I couldn't believe it. Usually, you know, I envisioned what the 3,000th hit would be like, and all the pressure and tension in my arms, and, you know, all the nervousness in my body, and there was none tonight. I felt very, very relaxed all night.
And a great smooth swing. Hits 1, 100, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, all singles. Brett Mann and Robin hit the milestone in the same season. Incredibly, it's the 5th time that this has happened. 2 guys in the same year. Brett the 18th to 3,000, the only man to win batting titles in 3 different decades. And the leading Jays hosting Boston. Winfield was in the field. Why? A little preview of the World Series when he might have to show some leather like that and rob Steve Lyons of this terrific play in the first. And the fans appreciate the effort of Dave, almost 41 years old Winfield. That's Frank Viola, and he was the story on this night. Gets Winfield swinging, gets Roberto Alomar swinging. Viola on 3 days rest was on. He got Joe Carter and had a no-hitter into the 8th. None out in the 8th. Tony Pena putting down the signs. Frank didn't shake him off all night. Derek Bell, a smash. Tim Naring, a great pick. Gets up. Bell's got speed. Naring's got him at first. And the no-hitter is still in shape. Next batter, Ed Sprague. He rips one to short. John Valentin comes up with it. He throws high, but Mo Vaughn goes up, comes back down on the bag, keeps the no-hitter alive to the 9th inning. The leadoff hitter for Viola, Devon White, the leadoff hitter for the Jays. 2-2, and he served up a pitch a little too high. There goes the no-hitter. Frankie said, my bad. Pitch a little too high. He wanted to get down low. You saw where Pena's target was, and you see their reaction as the no-hitter's gone. But this is just a 1-0 game. White advanced to second with 2 outs. Winfield, a slow roller. Scott Cooper, a gun from third, gets Winfield, and Viola gets the congratulations on a 1-hitter. His 15th shutout, first in 2 seasons, overshadowing a terrific effort from David Cone. John Valentin's opposite field home run, the only run off David Cone. Boston wins 1-0.
Just tell him I could throw the ball. It would be a big game for the team. It's a big game for myself. You know, it's basically a playoff World Series game for us. You know, some of the young kids never been through something like this, 50,000 people cheering and screaming, and I'd like to be a part of it. And I'm glad I did.
Frank, what do you got on your cap?
Oh, you have to bring that up, don't you? Clem, if you're watching, I got the 21 here. But nobody knows what those 4 lines are. It's just I'm gonna press you 4 times from the get-go. Thanks, guys.
Whatever the inside joke, Roger Clemens, hope you got it. Frankie V going on 3 days rest was not a good idea earlier this season. 3 starts with poor results, but you can call Thursday against the norm maybe the brightest moment in a nightmare season for the
in the majors. First inning with a man on. Pedro delivers to Willie Green, and Billy Ashley having a few problems. Martinez scores 1-0 Cincinnati. Lou Piniella wants a few cuts at this rookie. Meantime, Tim Belcher in control against his ex-teammates, facing Dave Hansen, then Jose Offerman, and then getting Ashley looking. Belcher wins his 15th, matching his career high. The Reds win this one 3-1.
Finishing their series in Seattle and trailing 2-0 in the 7th. 2 men on for Pat Listash off Eric Hansen. Drops it in on the turf. It takes a bounce. Kevin Seitzer is in. Alex Diaz is trying to score. Dan Howitt's throw, and he is going to be out. It's worth another look, and it looks like Diaz may have beaten the throw, but he was out. Mariners not to be denied. Darrell Hamilton with a triple to right. Jay Buhner doesn't play it real well. Listash scores to tie the game at 2. Top of the 8th, still tied, 1 out. Dennis Powell on with the bases loaded. And B.J. Surhoff at the plate chases a bad pitch for the strikeout. And then Powell gets Bill Spires. He's out of trouble. Top of the 10th, still tied at 2. Brewers have the bases loaded again. B.J. Surhoff with a second shot at it and delivers a shot. A double to right, scoring Greg Vaughn and Franklin Stubbs. That made it 4-2. Milwaukee and the Brew Crew added to that and went on to win it 7-2 in 10 innings. Bill Wegman got the win going all 10 innings, allowing just 4 hits. Greg Vaughn had 3 hits. Darrell Hamilton drove in 3, so the Brewers keep their flickering pennant hopes alive. They are 2 games behind Toronto each.
Negotiation. That's Mike Mussina pitching for Baltimore, going for win 18 in Cleveland and looking good. Kenny Lofton looking. Dennis Cook also sharp. Watch the comebacker off of Brady Anderson's bat, and he snared it. The Indians gave up just 1 hit into the 9th. Eric Plunk on to close it out. 2 outs. Mike Devereaux up and a shot to left field and deep, and see ya. Devereaux's 24th homer, 2-2 extra innings. Glenn Davis off of Plunk in the 10th to left center, and Kurt Plunk. It's ball game, and the Orioles win 3-2. Mussina pitching 9 innings and getting the victory. Carlos Baerga had 3 hits. He's hitting .307 now. Follow. If he gets 2 more hits, he becomes the first AL second baseman to hit 300, have 200 hits, 20 homers, and 100 RBI in the same season.
57. The Giants at Atlanta. And Deion Sanders, his first start since signing with the Falcons, with a base hit off John Burkett. Deion went 2 for 4. It was 5-2 Braves in the 6th. Steve Hosey up with 2 on. The fly to right. John Patterson coming home. Mel Nieves' throw gets past Lopez. Clayton scores from second. The Braves made 4 errors. Game tied in the 10th at 5. Tommy Gregg off Mike Jackson. Jackson's second pitch gone. First home run of the year for Gregg, and the Braves do match as they win at 6-10. 1-0 lead in the 2nd. Billy Ashley had a couple of hits with a double off Greg Swindell. That tied the game as Piazza is in at 1. Top of the 3rd. Runners at 1st and 2nd. Eric Karros with a single to center, scoring Kevin Gross, the winning pitcher, picking up his 8th victory. Karros goes to 2nd on the throw. Later scored with Brett Butler as the Dodgers get another hit, this coming from Mike Piazza. Piazza had 3 hits and drove in 2. The Dodgers knock off the Reds 4-2. Greg Swindell took Roberto Alomar, part of the new breed of Blue Jay, though, trying to turn it around. Bottom of the 1st, the Tigers with a 1-0 lead. And Alomar homering off Phil Gullickson, his 8th of the year. Toronto up 2-1. Still in the 1st, Candy Maldonado deep towards the same area, enough to get out for a 2-run homer, his 20th, 4-1 Toronto. Bottom of the 2nd, the power show continuing. Pat Borders leads off his first home run since August 20th. His 13th of the year was a 5-1 Toronto lead. Looked like they had it in hand. 6-1 in the 4th. Gladden almost takes off Morris's head with a single to center. Devon White doesn't come up with it cleanly, and a couple of runs score. 6-3, Toronto hanging on. It was 8-4 Jays in the 6th when Scott Livingstone was at 3rd. Mark Carrion drove it toward left for a double. Livingstone in, 8-5, Toronto hanging on. It was 8-6, the Tigers inching closer, and Morris a little frustrated. Top of the 7th. The Tigers, Mickey Tettleton makes the Jays a little bit more uncomfortable. A solo blast to center, his 32nd home run of the year. 8-7 Toronto by just 1 run. 2 out, runner at 1st, 9th inning. Tom Henke on in relief, facing Tettleton. And he gets him swinging to end it. Toronto, the dugout, on the edge of their seat, reacting to the clutch K by Henke, who seals the deal, his 34th save, and the Jays just do win it and clinch at least a tie. White, Alomar, and Winfield each had 2 hits. Jack Morris, a clutch win. He's 4-0 against his one-time Detroit team. And when it comes scoreboard watching in Oakland, Phil Garner's team with that won't quit attitude. Top of the 2nd, Robin Yount is at 1st. B.J. Surhoff hits one back to the box. Ron Darling comes up with it cleanly but throws it away. Yount hustles over to 3rd. Then Kevin Seitzer grounds to Brocious. Yount's in a rundown. Quirk eventually gets to him. Next batter, Dave Nilsson, singling to center off Darling, so Surhoff is in. The Brewers do get a run. It's 1-0. Then Darling settles down, getting Robin Yount. And then Pat Listash. Darling retiring 18 of 19 batters. Tie game, bottom of the 8th. Runners at 1st and 2nd. Dave Henderson off Jamie Navarro. Pass Seitzer. Sierra hustles in, and Oakland with a 2-1 lead. Top of the ninth. Nobody out. Darrell Hamilton at first. He's stealing second. That's been the Brewer trademark under Phil Garner. In position to score, and Dennis Eckersley trying to close it, but not against Paul Molitor, not against this Brewer team. It's a double over Eric Fox's head. Hamilton scores to tie the game, and Garner's team has hope. One out. Molitor on third. Eck striking out. Greg Vaughn with the go-ahead run at third. Bottom of the ninth. Tie game. Runners at first and second. One out. Willie Wilson hits one that looked like it would drop it. Robin Yount, what a catch. It's worth another look. This is a Hall of Fame grab that keeps it tied. Top of the 11th. Bases loaded, one out. Still tied. Greg Vaughn facing Jim Corsi. And he hits into the routine 5-4-3, but Vaughn beats it out. And a nice play as Listash scores by Yount at second to help that run happen. Then with two out and runners at first and third, Vaughn trying to steal. He comes home. He's called out, but it's a bad call because Quirk never tagged him at the plate. And then Henry on to get the save, and the Brewers stay alive, winning in Oakland 3-2 in 11 innings. The A's left 14 men on base. Milwaukee 7-3 against Oakland this year. They're the only team against the A's that has a winning record. That's impressive. And the number is one with 2 games to play. And on Saturday, Dave Haas goes for Detroit against Juan Guzman in Toronto. Ricky Bonas goes for the Brewers against Mike Moore in Oakland.
Field's 41st birthday. I'd like to have 50,000 people at your birthday party. Let's see what Dave had in store. Devon White was aboard. Joe Carter lances into one, and it's gone over the center field wall. His 34th of the year off David Haas, and the Jays are up 2-0 early in the first inning. Then Guzman took it from there. Mark Carrion on some high cheese. Then he goes against Dan Gladden, smoked him. Lou Whitaker couldn't catch up with it. Travis Fryman as well. 5 no-hit innings. He won a total of 8 and gave up just 1 hit to Carrion, striking out 9. Looked like he'd do it all by himself. So Guzman gets a pat in the back from Cito Gaston, but he brings in the Terminator, Tom Henke, to lock it down with a 3-0 lead in the ninth. 3 outs away from the title, but they get in big trouble. He loaded the bases with 1 out, and now Henke has got to try and save it for Guzman against Rob Deere. And he gets him to sky a pop-up to Roberto Alomar. They're 1 out away from the crown. They can sense it. They're ready to run out in the field. But then facing Scott Livingstone, he walks him with the bases loaded. Suddenly it's 3-1, and the tying runs are in scoring position. You see Gaston coming out there, and he's going to bring in a reversal of his bullpen. Dwayne Ward will now come in to try and close it down for Henke. Look at the fire in his eyes as he faces Gladden. The curveball, John Olerud is waiting, and he clasps on to the Jays' AL East title. Guzman and company go running out. And the rest of the AL East can throw in the towel because Dave Winfield's 41st birthday brought him his first division title since he was with the '81 Yankees, and they're the first team to repeat in the East since Winfield's Yanks. Morris opens against Stewart and the A's Wednesday in Skydome, but Guzman has perhaps earned a spot in the playoff rotation with his performance this afternoon. This was the scene at Toronto's 4th title in 8 years. Derek Bell doing his Montel Williams impersonation as they slide in.
This is what makes it all fun, you know. This is what you work so hard for, these special moments when the guys can act like little bitty kids and really get back at all the guys that we really didn't want to be quoted by all summer long. You know, it's enjoyable.
I wish we could go back and we had some cameras of people in the clubhouse over in Detroit on opening day just to see these guys and how focused they were, and they've stayed that way all year, just very determined on winning the division, getting into the World Series, and they've been that way all year.
We want to go, 2 steps further, and that's winning the whole thing. We're 1/3 the way of where we want to get to. We couldn't get to the playoffs without winning our division. We've done that. Now we've got 2 more things to do.
Speaking of things in twos, the addition of Cone and Morris becoming the first Jay to win 20 have been essential, but Carter and Winfield's production in the middle of the order has produced the most RBIs in the majors from the 3 and 4 holes, and only the Sheffield and McGriff combo in San Diego have homered more often. Last year, their DHs had 5 homers and 56 RBIs. Dave Winfield has made a remarkable difference in that category. The Brewers are spending their final weekend in Oakland, hoping the Tigers could help them out and knowing they absolutely could not lose. They had beaten the A's 6 straight times. Paul Molitor wondering if they had it in them and what would happen with Detroit and Toronto. Bottom of the first, Brewers up 1-0. Sierra gets into one. Robin Yount is there, but it hits the top of the wall and goes out. And Baines gets his 16th homer of the year. It's 2-1 A's. Next pitch by Ricky Bonas ends up, look at this slaughterhouse, about 25 rows up for McGuire, his 42nd of the year, and the A's have a 3-1 lead. By the fourth, it's still a 2-run game, 4-2. Jim Austin now on a relief, and Mike Bordick tees off his 3rd of the year. What a find he has been. And then the really bad news comes from Milwaukee. It didn't matter what happened in this game as Toronto's victory was posted, and Molitor and the rest of the bench could only think about what might have been as Oakland snaps a 6-game losing streak to the Brewers and beats them for the first.
Kirby, this was going to be you someday.
Well, if Kirby continues to get a couple of hundred a season, he'll certainly get to 3,000. A little bit better than Greg Jeffries could get to that infield single. Tom Flash Gordon was flushed tonight. He was wild. This is the opening inning when he loaded the bases and walked in a run there against Chili Davis. Looked like he was going to get out of it with just 3 runs when this ball just can't be handled by Kevin Kozlowski. Bounces off him. He walked in another run, didn't even finish the first inning, and the Twins had 5. Top of the second, Puckett's up again. Single number 1,810 of his career. Then in the 6th with 2 outs and 2 on, the Twins with a 5-1 lead. Jordan Brett answers his 2nd of the game, knocked in Joyner. He's now 4 behind Al Kaline all time. It was 5-3. KC comes charging back. In the 8th, Mike McFarland homers, and the Royals are up 6-5. Then it's Puckett again on the hanging curve from Montgomery. Blasted into the gap. Shane Mack will come around to tie it in the top of the 9th. At 6-all, they go to extra innings, and Kevin Kozlowski, who muffed that ball in the opening inning, sprays this shot with the outfield pulled in to bring in Brian McRae, and the Royals, after giving up 5 in the first, come back and win it in extra innings in the 11th, 7-6. Meacham going into double figures.
Scott Ruskin facing Greg Litton, tied at 2 in the 13th, and the Giants' first grand slam of the year. The only team that didn't have a grand slam, and they finally break in and break out. Roger Craig, will they be the San Francisco Giants next year? They win it by the final of 6-2. Righetti gets the win. He's 2-7. Ruskin drops to 4-3 after the game. Litton said, if this was the last game as the San Francisco Giants, down the road, it will mean a lot to me. If we come back, it'll just be a grand slam to win our last game. Big deal.